So thank you everybody for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about insight and visibility inside of Intacct, getting the information you need when you want it. Just very quickly, talking a little bit about Alliance. Just wanted to let everybody know that we are a premier provider of technology solutions for the construction industry, and in fact, we are the #1 Sage dealer. Moving along, as far as Intacct goes, Intacct is winning awards. It is not a new product. It came out in 1999, and it's important to understand that it is not new, and it is a preferred solution for many customers. So what is Intacct? Intacct is a best-in-class ERP, handles the general accounting that everybody's used to, accounts payable, job costing, but then we started adding things, bank feeds, being able to bring in those transactions directly from your bank or your credit cards. It's an open API, so people can write to it, other companies, other solutions. We have a budget and planning piece of the puzzle. It is cloud-based, and it's important to understand, as a number of companies that are on older technologies have started saying they're cloud-based, this is developed in the cloud for the cloud. It is a web-based program. It is not being just hosted. It's not a normal solution just being hosted. It is a web-based product. There's approval workflows, expense reporting. We have dashboards, which is one of the main things we're going to talk about today. Inventory, allocations, dynamic allocations. It is a multi-currency product for anybody that might need that. And it does allow for multi-entity and intercompany accounting. So let's go ahead and look just a little bit further. The open API and those pieces of the puzzle makes it easy for other companies to integrate to Intacct. And it is a growing list of companies that want to, with the technology that we are introducing to the marketplace. You can see people like Procore and IFS Core Associates, that's the TimberScan, things like that, that people may be around. Moving on, I just want to talk about this because this is really important for what we're discussing today. Is a concept called dimensions. So a dimension is a way of classifying transactions and items to allow your company to be able to resort, refilter, and get the reporting they need that makes sense to your company back out of this system in a timely manner. So that could be things like a location, a department, customers, a job, a project manager, cost codes, or even some user-defined dimensions that maybe you specifically may want to be able to resort and get that information back out. Maybe it's something you've been doing in Excel forever because you have to reclassify and reorganize things to hand to other people. Intacct allows us to do that within the product. So if you look right here, when we're talking about dimensions, there are a lot of things inside the software that allows us to do kind of that parent-child relationship, one of them being a cost code. And most people are used to things like divisions and then the codes underneath them, but these are really definable by you. It can go any way, and we can have multi-parent-child relationships. So there could even be a child below 310 if we needed to. I'm looking at this one because we're seeing multiple dimensions in one report. So it's not just pulling it by project manager, let's say. Maybe I want it by company, then project manager, then division, then location. We can have multi-level sorts to all these reports and do it on the fly and get information to you quickly. Just popping through there. Back over here, wanted to explain that with the cost types, that labor, material, those pieces are all tied to the cost code and to the GL. And as I mentioned before, there's that parent-child granular tracking. So we're going to be able to flow this information. Every transaction can go to the GL and get resorted. I can break the GL down by sub, let's say, if we need to. The general ledger is modern and flexible. It is increasing in its flexibility daily. We can do obviously a custom chart of accounts for you. One of the big things is statistical journals. So you can actually have multiple ledgers. You could have your actual ledgers, you can have statistical ledgers. And some people ask me what a statistical ledger is. Well, it's a way that we can put information into the system to report with without affecting our actual general ledger. For instance, we had somebody that we talked to the other day that wanted to be able to break down, he's a developer, wanted to be able to break it down by the lots and see lot information and the number of lots that are either not sold or sold. And we used a statistical ledger to tell it how many lots there are. Think of a hotel. You could have, your 300 rooms. Well, what's the price per room? So those are what the statistical ledgers allows us to do. There's also a piece in the general ledger now, which I really enjoy, and it's getting better and better, something called Outliers. So Intacct uses AI, so artificial intelligence, to learn what you do, to understand what you do all the time. And it starts looking for problems with that. If there's entries that you make all the time and you usually make them this way and all of a sudden you make it this way, it sees that and catches it. And it proactively catches that error for you before it's too late and you've handed it off to somebody else. So you'll be able to see that information. Think of it also in a fraud situation. Well, if you're always doing this and then all of a sudden there's this weird transaction for this amount of money, it catches that. So anybody that's been down that road, or maybe knows somebody that's been hacked or has been embezzled or anything like that, it can catch transactions like that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the product now. Just close this down for us. Pull up my document here. Okay, so this is the Intacct product. And as I said, we're going to spend a lot of time in these dashboards because this is where all of our information comes in. So looking at the dashboards, I can come in and I have multiple dashboards here, but let's look at a developer financial to start with. So looking at this dashboard, the first thing I'm going to point out is that we're at a top level. So underneath the top level is all the other companies that we have, or it could be different groupings of things, but it's another sort below it. The top level is a consolidated level. So everything you see on this screen is consolidated across all your companies. So when I'm looking at my profit and loss, this is a consolidated profit and loss right on a dashboard for me. When I'm looking at things like our payroll expense, it is top level. I can see it anytime I want. All of these things are reports. Any report in the system that you have that you want can be placed onto the dashboard. We can use this dashboard to resort things and look at new things all the way across. So that's when we get into those dimensional features I was talking about. For instance, I could come here in this same dashboard. Now I'm looking at it at a different company. So you see all the numbers just changed for me. I could come over here and I could say, well, just give me this location. So maybe it's a location within that company. It has 4 different locations across the state or across the country. We could resort it by a location just by clicking a button. Maybe I want to go inside that company and just see this for a specific project or a parent project and its children. And just by clicking a button this quickly and hitting apply, I can see that information. So it's really key to be able to see everything within the system as quickly as possible in a format that makes sense to you. Go ahead and clear this back out. Also, when we come into these different dashboards and we look at this information from whatever level we're on at any given time, it'll normally bring you into the current period. So date is also one of these dimensions. So for instance, if I come in and I see this and things are catching my eye, well, why is that so high? Maybe I just roll this back a month and I look at it from here and apply that. And I can see month over month, okay, it's not that big of a difference. very quickly getting that information. Also on this dashboard, you will see something right over here. This is called chatter. Some people have been around products with chatter in them before. This is inside the Intacct product itself. So on a transaction, instead of having to walk down the hall and give somebody a note saying, hey, I need this, or I need to discuss this, or sending emails all over the place, we can actually put it right on the transaction and have that information there, the whole discussion about what we're talking about at any given time. And as we enter a piece of chatter, it will actually send an email to that person saying, hey, you've got this in the system, come take a look. We've also got the checklist. So checklists are a newer feature inside of Intacct. We can set up lots of different checklists across the board. But if you're a CFO or an owner and you want to make sure these things are getting taken care of, we could put them at the job level. Maybe you need these things on the job and it's checklists and you have people assigned to those things. We can see where they are. Have they been completed yet? Have they not been completed yet? We can report off of that and even have that information come in here. I could change these and say, I only want to see things that aren't completed yet. So very quickly getting that information. I also want to talk about the fact that inside of these dashboards, everything inside of it, no matter which level we're at, if I go back down here to the GC level, for instance, we'll pop that back up. You can see all this information here. And I can see things like this cost of sales subcontract. I can see these payroll expenses, right? If I go in here, I can drill down inside these. So from the dashboard, I can start drilling down and I can look at this and go, well, no, let's see what that is. Here's my GL transaction. I can go deeper and I can actually see that journal entry and what it came from. Where did it happen? Why is it there? Very quickly getting to that information that we need. So these dashboards allow us to get that. We have that insight into our system quickly and efficiently. I'm going to go ahead and come back up here to the top level real quick. Actually, stay here at the GC level. And I'm going to open one more dashboard because this one's more of a financial dashboard. So I want to go into my dashboards here and we're going to pull up a project performance dashboard. So here's a project performance dashboard. And as you can see, I have colors, things like that. So you can definitely put colors on these things and define, you know, in this case, I have things that are, I'm going to be losing money on, so they're turning red. But we can define those colors throughout the system and have them show up here. When we look at this, I could also come over and say, hey, only show me this for a project like we did in the past. So I'm bringing it down and I'm seeing that project information. All of this is drill downable also. So anywhere in here, I can get into this information and see what this is. For instance, right here, this total cost. Maybe I want to drill down into that and actually see all those transactions. I can get farther. I can see what this $400 is. Here's the journal entry. I can get farther than that. So as we're looking through these, see, this is all labor. If I needed to, I could drill down even farther, getting more information when we need it. So what I wanted to do is come back out here real quick and just look at these different pieces and parts in the system. So I'm going to switch this back over and make that the 925 again. Apply that. And as I mentioned before, getting quick information here, right? So I'm going to look at this $27,000 just to see where it came from. And we can see this is from bills, and I can drill down a little bit farther. And I can see the actual journal entry here. And I can drill down even farther. So if I wanted to see what this is, I can come down even deeper. And now you're seeing this is the actual bill. And I can view that bill. So from that highest level, I'm all the way down to the bill trying to figure out what's going on. I see my overdue days. That's not a good thing. I could see approval history, who approved this, when they approved it. I can come down here. I could actually look at the attachment, open the attachment up if we want. Down below, I can see the information about it. And remember that chatter? Here it all is. So this is what I was talking about when we're putting that chatter directly on an individual line or an individual document. But being able to get to that information quickly when somebody needs it is important. So let's go back over here one last time to the project performance dashboard, because I want to get into this and just kind of show you some information here and make sure you understand that these things are easy to even get in and modify. So this is it, and here's the rows and the columns. So I can look at my rows and see what rows are showing up. Maybe I want to come into the rows and say, you know what, expand this by maybe a customer or a vendor or something like that, or a location. So if I have that set up in the system, we can see that. So I'm just going to do customer. I know it's going to be a 1-for-1, but just to show you how easy it is to change that and get this information quickly, you can see now those jobs are broken up by customers. So very quick and easily, I got to that information. If I rolled this and said, do this by location, which I think I might have locations in here, you can see now that we're breaking it down by location. Timberline Construction all the way through there. There's Timberline Residential location. So you can see they're broken up by locations, but I could do it by location, then customer, if needed. So very easily modifying that information and seeing that and being able to get to anything I want at any given time. That is how Sage Intacct allows us to have better insight into what's going on in our company.